Going once, going twice, sold! And welcome to the Purple Wave Perspective, a chance for Dave, Nemo, and Don Nash to talk market conditions, economic factors, and top challenges. Ultimately, it's about getting the perspective of when to trade and when to maintain. So grab a cup, settle in, and see what's on the auction block. All of it brought to you by purplewave.com. And now, here's Dave and Don.
Yes, indeed, Claire Marie. When you hear straight, simple, sold, you know the gavel's coming down on another Purple Wave auction. One of the guys who really makes things happen. Joining us right now, our good friend, Don Nash. And on the Purple Wave Perspective. Hey, Don, good morning.
Good morning to you, Dave. How are you this up in my part of the world, snowy, wintry day? So I imagine it's not quite the same down in New Orleans right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got into the upper 40s last week, so we had the heaters and the fireplaces and everything going.
Wow.
I'll tell you, at the moment it's a little bit warm. It's about 52 degrees here now, but yeah, huge Arctic or polar blast coming down. Football in the snow, and the traffic is unbelievable.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that too, coming up through the the Ohios and the Indianas and stuff like that. So it's big trucking corridors for us through there, and seeing news reports, lots of guys being snowed out and side of the roads today and this morning and last night. So thinking about those guys, hoping they're all right and continue on with their safe journey to home or to drop their load. So I was thinking about them on this Monday morning.
Well, we're it's still in single digits here in the last month of the year, but have you guys kind of put the 2025 perspective in view at this point? In terms of what it's been for, not just for Purple Wave, but overall for the industry, for all of you customers. I know that's a huge base of people, so that may be kind of hard to track.
Yeah, it is. It is a very it's a unique industry and very segment specific. This year has been, in some aspects, it's been a challenge, right? I mean, for hours here in the transportation and logistics, it's been a bit of a challenge. It continues to be so. But you've got other markets that are doing okay. Your construction market and the equipment there is doing pretty well. We've not got a lot of new housing starts. That's kind of the metric on that. That drives a lot of the economy for us here in the United States. But overall, your civil construction continues on. That's where a lot of your big dollar work happens, out on the highways and stuff, of course. Or the other person or the other segment and people that are being hurt pretty bad right now is, of course, our agricultural community. That's forcing a lot of different actions in that community, whether it's some trade-offs on what they're farming and when they're going to harvest, or to what they're going to hold and what they're going to sell to, or their equipment. So kind of the same going over there as we see in the trucking industry. But so it's been a mixed bag this year, Dave. It really has been. It still continues. I mean, we get news reports. It seems like this 24-hour news cycle, we get stuff. It seems like every hour almost. It's kind of affecting us on the economy at this point.
I don't know if the 24-hour news cycle is going to, in historic perspective, from 100 years from now, when they look back at the 24-hour news cycle, I think they're going to say that was a mistake.
I would concur. I really do. I kind of enjoyed having your day, and then you get home, you have some dinner, and you watch 6 o'clock news or 5 o'clock if you're East Coast, and then maybe you recap at 10 o'clock, and that was what you had, and maybe catch a newspaper. But this 24-hour stuff is just continual bombardment, especially on the economic front, like we were just talking about.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. Yeah, TMI, too much information, right?
For sure.
Let me ask you something, though, about farmers, because they have, my goodness, if you want to, don't go to Vegas if you want to gamble. Go to Iowa and plant some corn, if
good
you
Lord,
yes. A gambler.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember over the last couple of years, now I didn't come up on the river. I came up on the side of the river. I spent about 7 years in high school and college working on barges. I was a fleet man. I made and broke tow down here in New Orleans, in Harahan, on the northbound side, and in West Wego on the southbound side. So I come from the blue collar work of the world. Okay, that's me. Now, and I say that because so do farmers, and they have gone through. If there's a problem, a farmer has faced it first, and then probably more often than anybody else. And I remember when the river Mississippi was so low, and maybe again this year, they couldn't load barges, so they could only load barges maybe halfway to
Oh
get them
wow.
down the river. I mean, it's crazy because a barge has about a 13-foot draft.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can only put about maybe a 5 to 7 foot with a 5 to 7 foot draft on the water. So it was rough. So these farmers didn't know what to do because you can't put them on trains now, and you can't. There's not
Hmm.
enough trucks in the world. So you
Right.
you put them on trains to put them to the West Coast. Now where are you going to sell it? It was bad. So what my question to you is, and I don't expect you to know details, but the
Hmm.
things that farmers tell you have gone wrong or what's the problem this year, has
Uh-huh.
that changed dramatically for the farming world as much as I think it might have?
Well, I think it has, as I know it. And again, I'm not attached to that
I,
community
mean,
as
I
much
know,
as
and I
some of my,
didn't want to,
yeah, as
yeah, I
some of
didn't
my
expect an in
counterparts are.
depth.
I've got
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, for sure. I've got counterparts obviously with Purple Wave. That is our bread and butter with agriculture. The community, we are Kansas based in the middle of it in Manhattan, Kansas. We've got people that work for us that run active farms to this day, as well as ranches and stuff like that. So we are very close to that community. But what I hear from my chair is that it is largely kind of the same as what we had. It's just been magnified a lot this year. We've had that we can point to the tariffs on some of the stuff, and then the refusal of some of these geopolitical movements that are outside of our borders with product that's being purchased or not purchased in some instances that are driving these prices down. So that's one of the other factors for it. But a lot of it it's just the continual erosion that we had of the mom and pop farm of the community farmer. It's more, what we're seeing now is a lot of the the guys that really can survive it are the guys that can afford to weather it with large cash reserves, and obviously with those large cash reserves, they can afford the lobbyists to go up and to make some lobbying efforts on their behalf in Washington D.C. So that's kind of what we're seeing is that the large, your ConAgras, your Bayer, your eight Archer Daniels Midlands and stuff like that. They continue to grow, and that puts everything into that corporate farmer world, and it kind of pushes down on the community farmer. It puts them out of business essentially, and some of the stuff, and the people that come in behind it usually, buy out or buy up depending on what the financial situation is for that farmer, and moving down the road. So you've got these these community farmers that are getting a little bit more pushed out now in an aggravated fashion. I think at least we're seeing that for my chair because I go over bankruptcies and stuff all the time, right?
Hmm.
And I see
Hmm.
that from the farmer's perspective as well as the trucking's perspective, obviously. And so that's what I see as a parallel for it, and then I chase that down a little bit, to see what some of the causes were, and that's what I was seeing. That's what we're hearing a little bit as well. I'm sure there's a lot more nuance to it, Dave. With our farmers that are actually out there doing it. About the cost of putting it in the ground and the cost of what they can get back out of it per acre was extraordinarily difficult this year, from what I understand, at harvest. And we saw a lot of people that were going out, unfortunately, that retired or took an early retirement to change positions in the economic structure of their life to go work for somebody else instead of farming their land. So we've seen a lot of that this year, but that continues, I think. But it was magnified. It continues on the way it's kind of always been, subject to some geopolitical moves. It just got magnified terrifically this year. At least that's what it looked like from my chair.
Yeah, things aren't changed. You're right. Nothing has changed. It's just more of everything.
Hmm.
COVID didn't change anything. It just sped everything up. So we're on this juggernaut, I guess you might say. I don't know if this is a good time for this, but uh, there was a there was a raconteur. He was a lawyer for a long time. His name is Texas Bob Murphy. He lived over in the East Piney Woods of Texas. And he
Hmm.
told the story about a farmer going into the bank. He sat down at the desk. He said, "Well, Mr. Banker, I've got good news and bad news." And banker says, "Well, Mr. Farmer, tell me what the bad news is." He says, "Well, the bad news is my crop didn't come in and I can't pay off my loan." He says, "Well, what's the good news?" "Well, the good news is I'm going to keep banking with you." So and that's where a lot of folks
That's
are right now, right?
that's
Yeah.
that is apropos, Dave.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, right on the money,
Yeah.
so to speak, apropos. So,
Um,
hmm
when I got into trucking radio, in 1972 with Charlie Douglas.
hmm
First, one of the things I learned first off was that trucking and construction uh, were uh, were were cousins in a sense in
hmm
terms of I truck this time of year and I do construction that time of year. Um, and farming is the other thing too, because Jimmy Mack and I did a talk once at one of the TCA meetings, several years ago now, about the farm system uh, and kind of paralleling trucking to the farm systems like baseball teams have. And
Yeah.
literally, truckers back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s really came from farming.
Yeah.
In the early 70s, they really came out of the military because of
Military. Yeah.
Vietnam, and that's
hmm
where that was my generation, so to speak. But do is there still that and from your guys' perspective, that's why I'm asking you because you handle all three of those areas. Do you
hmm
guys see that transference from a guy named like Dave Nemo? He's driving the truck today, but he's going to do some construction tomorrow, and then back to
Well,
trucking next day, so to
oh,
speak. Yeah,
for sure. I want to say if it may be next day, but yeah, I mean, we see
yeah.
that seasonality for the working people for sure. You know, the blue collar type. I mean, that's where I'm from as well, and for sure, yeah, we see that. That movement, and then some of it is by choice, some of it's forced hand. You know, you have a forcing event like a company that goes out of business and stuff like that, or a farm that shuts down, and then the family obviously still needs to provide for themselves, and then you'll have the the farmer will pivot off to start running his truck. Maybe he retains his truck, or maybe he does have a Class A CDL and he goes to work for a carrier. But yeah, we do see that, and we actually do see businesses. We've seen. I couldn't call them out by name, but I have seen transitions of that through my career, and recently this year too, about 4 or 5 times that it showed up to me. I'm sure it happened a lot more than that, but where we have one business sell itself out. One farm, a small farm or something like that, and then either use the proceeds for that to settle debt, and then if they have overages, which hopefully they did, they're able to pick up a truck and pivot, and pick up a truck or two and pivot into being an owner operator or something like that. Which is it's still it's kind of out of the frying pan into the fire a little bit sometimes at this point of the year, but yes, we have seen that, and that is a very common move between those industries, whether it's a permanent transition because of a loss of a farm or something like that, or something that's more seasonal. We kind of see that too in some of the northern latitudes. We'll see guys that are, the construction slows down obviously this time of the year. Not a whole lot to do, that, especially if you're in the trades that are exterior building envelope sort of stuff, civil construction, those sorts of things. That'll pivot itself into, yeah, I'll go drive a truck for 6 months, 4 months out of the year, something like that, because you got a CDLA, Class A, you very, very good chance you can find a job, especially right now. There's a shortage industry who are running short on drivers, have been doing that for years and years and years. So that's a good ticket to find a decent enough employment for, if you want to, seasonality employment for where you work construction one part of the year and then drive the truck the rest. But yeah, we do see that. We do see those moves like that, either, like we said, permanent, that's an economic forcing factor that happened, or something that's a little more seasonal because of personal choice or geography and where they live. So
So basically, the economy as it is today or tomorrow or next day, notwithstanding, um, there's still a lot of fluidity for people then, and you need fluidity to stay afloat.
mhm.
I mean, okay, that's pretty much a non sequitur, but you know what I'm saying. In other words,
Yeah.
you do have some options. Like, options are open. Fluidity is still flowing.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, there's still transitional stuff that you can move from. I mean, where people move from one industry to the next, where the case may be. I mean, even in our transportation industry, we've got people that'll transition out from a long haul carrier to a regional carrier. They'll transition out from, over the road box truck to doing heavy haul or flatbedders. I know that's a little more of a thing. I'm probably offending people out there right now. And you hear these guys that are flatbedders saying no, but, uh, but, uh, but for sure. Yeah. There's a lot of fluidity back and forth. right now. People are still, with the economy being the way it is, and it's unpredictable. I think that's probably the best word for it right now.
Really?
Um, and I
Never
think
heard
so.
that one.
Never heard that one before. And if exactly, even the economists that they're well, don't get me started on those guys. But
No,
yeah, so
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, there's still that fluidity, and it's I think forced right now. And if you have that CDLA, then that's a pretty good position to be in. It's not going to be easy. You have a lot of trucking companies, and maybe it's the trucking company that you're pulling for that's having some financial struggles. But there are trucking companies out there that are doing just fine, and it seems like every one of them, to a company, are short on drivers right now. So that's a good opportunity to get in. Of course, this is the season to we see a lot of temporary hire and ramp ups and stuff like that that's going on. So that helps. And then trucking companies that have excess equipment right now because maybe they can't find those drivers. That's a good opportunity before the end of the year to get that equipment out and get it moved and get it sold. And Purple Wave is a good option for that. So I mean that's what we're seeing as well. We're seeing a lot of that movement coming up with people that are positioning or repositioning their economic fortunes, I guess, on what they're going to be doing next year. And that tends to happen exactly this time of the year to make those financial moves in December and sometimes as late as early January and February. But this is the time.
Okay, but this is the time, and that's always kind of confused me because um, does it necessarily have to be the time, and is it the time just because everybody says it's the time?
Well, that's a good point, but I think that one of the drivers we're seeing there, we mentioned it on the last one too, and I did want to bring it back up because it's probably one of the last shots we've got to talk about it before it expires, and that's the taxes. So a lot of
Yeah.
this is driven. It's a government, right? I mean, we've got a lot of that incentive to buy or sell this time of the year, and it is driven by the tax implications for your fiscal year. So I mean, for this year, and we had some bills that were passed and put into law. That the big beautiful bill that came across that did extend or renewed the Section 179 and what we call a bonus depreciation with that. If you don't know what that is, it's a very very good program to either get your equipment sold or make a purchase on new equipment. It drives a lot of sales, but it also drives a lot of purchases because what the 179 and stuff does on the bonus depreciation means that you can effectively write off 100% of your purchase this year on your taxes. So if you bought a truck, and spent 50 grand on it, and it made the qualifiers on it, and we've got an entire article about it on our blog post, and I'll give that to you in a second. But you can write that fully off on your taxes that are owed. And then, so maybe you can balance your books down to where your exposure and your taxes is a whole lot less because of that, or even effectively zero if you're a smaller owner or operator. By just simply renewing your fleet, purchasing a piece of equipment, or maybe it's a switch. You got an older truck that needs defleeted to get rid of it, and then you need to get another one to replace that. So it's a good opportunity for that. Purple Wave handles both sides of that transactions, so it's a really good opportunity for people to make those switches as well. And like I mentioned, the blog post, if you went to purplewave.com and just scroll down the bottom page and click on the blog link down there, it'll bring up the blog landing page, and the very first article there is about the Section 179 and bonus depreciation. Very good article, links out to some of the resources within the federal government and other articles so you can fully understand what's going on. But that's an opportunity that does expire at the end of this year. And again, because of those deadlines, I think and those occur every year. Not so much as the full Monty that we're getting this year. It's a little bit more special this year, but at the end of the year, those things are always present, and that does drive a lot of the activity.
So if so taxes basically and the tax, in other words, taxes basically is the impetus to get things done in December because it overrides everything. I heard somebody say once, if you have a business, the first thing you pay is taxes. Second thing you would do is pay everything else.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
and the smart guy pays himself first, and he pays everybody else after that. But that's a good business tip, for everybody who's listening out there, for you truckers on business thing. Pay yourself first, guys, and then settle up with everything else that you can. So,
I
or
wish
at
I
least be in
knew
the
that
position.
earlier.
So,
So the
but
179 is a standard thing year, but the bonus thing, that is a 2025 only thing then?
That is, it
Yeah.
is 20. Well, they do have bonus depreciation. They've had bonus depreciation in the past. What this bill did, and now law, is renewed that and re-upped it. And what
Hmm.
that meant was that it was on a scale down level. So it was at 100% bonus depreciation. I think as recent as 2023, I think, or 2022, and then it was falling back off. It was basically cutting itself by 20% every year until it went back down to zero. What this bill did was renewed that to 100%. So it re-upped the bonus depreciation to 100%. So you're not paying a lesser depreciation if you elect to do that. Instead of paying the what would have been, I think, 40 or 50 or 40 or 60% this year, you can take the full 100%. So if you got a fleet of a large company, that could be tens of millions of dollars in savings for them. If your small company, even one truck purchase, that could be tens of thousands of dollars for them in savings on tax. So it's a very good program. It's a good opportunity to waive off some of the tax debt that you might have carrying over into 2026. And the other good thing about it is that if you take a full depreciation on this, it can still be that depreciation or that bonus depreciation, even if you don't use it all, or there's conditions about how much of it you can use and stuff. Then that's detailed in the links on their article. But what it does do is it allows you to spread that out. So if you can maximize it this year and still have funds left over from that depreciation, you can carry that forward into the subsequent years for that. Again, it's I'm not a tax attorney, not an accountant or anything like that. I'm just telling you what I've read and what I understand it to be. We've got those links on our article to point you in the right direction to get all that stuff answered for you.
You need a Colton Lawrence to take care of those taxes.
That's right. That's a good one. Yeah, that's true.
Indeed, indeed.
That's for sure.
Well, I'm looking at the clock, and it's about time to take the cover off Don's Dream Machine, but
There
maybe,
we go.
maybe not, huh? I don't know. What's cooking this month?
So the truck of the month here, we've got actually two little things I want to talk about. One was that we've got a package of trucks in from Gemini Fleet, Gemini Transport. They are the carrier for Loves. So they're those nice yellow trucks everybody sees running up down the interstate. We've got a package of those in. The sleeper cab truck that we have in that is a 2022 Kenworth T680. She is sitting in Oklahoma City. She is Packer powered with a automated transmission and is currently sitting only at about a $10,500 bid, and she sells on Thursday. So that's a pretty good truck, and somebody could probably get a really good deal on that. Um, and that's coming from our friends at Gemini Transport, which is the exclusive petroleum carrier for Loves, and we handle most of all of their business as one of our larger accounts. So I wanted to thank those guys and point the attention to our listeners that we do carry their trucks, and they're very good trucks, and we sell those all across the country, from East Coast to West Coast. If you look on our sites, we have those segmented out. The other part I want to bring to you is I probably like this truck, Dave. If somebody's looking for a Christmas present for Don, I wear a size 2025 Peterbilt 589 is what I wear. So I do have that truck sitting here. It's on our sale coming up this week. She is beautiful. She's from one of our insurance lender suppliers, so that's why she's there. She has less than 300 miles on her. She is she had what the damage was on it. Let's see.
Is it in Greenwood, Nebraska?
It is the one that is in Greenwood, Nebraska.
Yeah,
That is it. Yeah, she's a
man,
pretty
that's
girl. So,
yeah,
yeah, so she needs a.
beautiful truck.
She's got a battery cover off of her in the photograph right there, but that's an easy replace. Actually, I think that's with the truck, as a matter of fact. But yeah, so she's very pretty, and like I said, if anybody's looking for a Secret Santa gift for Don Nash, that's my perfect size right there. So, but we do quite a bit of sales and stuff like this. These newer units and stuff that we get back from lenders. Some of them are repos, some of them are lease returns and stuff like that. But what's great about it is that we treat each one of these pieces very carefully on those inspections. When you look at that listing page, you look at those videos, you're really getting that experience like you're walking around that truck. And if you have any other questions for it, again, that's a kind of a Purple Wave bullet point to drive home to everybody, is that we will broadcast or actually carry on our listing page, not broadcast, but carry on our listing page the contact for those owners. And so you can reach out and talk to them. There's full transparency on that, so we can make sure that we get you the information that you need to make those buying decisions. And if you have any other questions about stuff like that, reach out to your local Purple Wave rep. We cover every state in the country now, and very easy to find your rep. Just jumping on purplewave.com and going to the territory map that's at the top. So very easy to get all your questions answered and get your Christmas presents bought coming up here on purplewave.com.
Don, I'm going to ask you something that I may not, maybe I shouldn't. Can I give the number, the YA number?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
That's exactly the easiest way to do it. Yeah.
Okay. Guys, if you go to purplewave.com and then click on the tractor trailer, they've got, farm gear, construction gear, and road gear. So the truck you're looking for is the 2025 589. The number is YA1482, YA1482. I can't count. The pictures are too many of them, and there's a video.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd love to have some of our listeners take a look at that and throw some comments at us.
Yeah, I would love to hear that. That'd be great to get that back. And again, also when you go to purplewave.com, it does list out each one of those auctions that are upcoming. You click through it, but you can also write it there from purplewave.com. There's a search bar right at the top. You could type in that YA1, repeat it for you real quick, YA1482, and it would bring that truck right up. You could also just type in 2025 Peterbilt, and it would pull up everything that we've got in that as well. So
fantastic. Very
powerful search right there on the purplewave.com landing page.
Yeah, this truck looks so old school. It's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, I like those long and talls as well. I like to call them. I think in my former life, Dave, I think I was pulling cattle pods out of Texas going across up to Chicago or something. I think that was my former life. So.
All right. Well, the clock has spoken and it's now yelling at us, so we got to go. But Merry Christmas to you and everybody. If we don't talk, we will though. We will talk before then. So forget I just said that. I'll save that for later. Don Nash, as always, man. Thank you so much.